Hello, Facebook world, internet world, caregiver world. So Jerry keeps telling me I need a walk-on song, I need like a theme song, and this is where it would fit in. I'd have my theme song, say hi. It just feels right. I need one. I can't think of one. If you have a good theme song for me, share it. Jerry's working on it, he says. So we'll see. But welcome to the celebration series. And if you missed my live last week, the celebration series is all about celebrating life. And July is the perfect month for us to celebrate because it's the month we celebrate Jerry's transplant. It's Regina's birthday. We call his liver Regina. Originally, excuse me, the liver was going to be Reggie, but his donor was a female. And so we're like, well, we cannot name the female's liver Reggie. That's not right. So we named her Regina. And so every year we celebrate her, we celebrate the transplant donor family and the donor. So it's a really important month for us. And so I expanded that into caregivers celebrating, because as caregivers, we are tired. We are doing all the other duties as assigned, and celebrating kind of falls by the wayside. I was on a podcast yesterday called The Survivor, and I think it's going to air in a couple months. When I know the exact date, I will post it. But we were talking about, as a caregiver, all of the little things that we do that take on basically a life or death meaning, which causes us to live in a constant state of trauma. So for me, one of the examples of that was being responsible for Jerry's pillbox. Because if I did the pills wrong, he would die. It was very black and white for me. Pills wrong, husband dead. And it was complicated for people who weren't into taking pills. Like we didn't have to take medications. And all of a sudden there were 14 different medications, and some that were taken every day, some that were taken twice a day, some that were taken every other day, some that couldn't be taken together. So you had to make sure if you took this one in the morning, then the other one was taken at night. And it was a lot. And even to this day, I still have to stay a little on top of it. He does his own pillbox now, but like he can't eat grapefruit ever for the rest of his life because it interacts with the transplant medicine and he can reject his organ. So no grapefruit ever. So every now and then there's something on a menu or a fruit salad or a juice, and I'm like, no grapefruit anywhere. I don't even eat grapefruit at home just because I just don't even want it in the house. So I will venture to say that every week when I filled that pillbox, I did not give one little moment to celebrate my accomplishment. And it was an accomplishment. So we celebrate the big things in life. We celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. We celebrate promotions. But especially when we're in a state of overwhelm, in a state of trauma, we don't stop to celebrate all of the little things we do. Sometimes it might be the pillbox. Sometimes it might be washing your hair. Because sometimes we get in that space where it just feels hard. And those little things are worth celebrating too. So I came out with a little free guide, and it is called 5 Ways. 5 Ways to Celebrate Without Cake or Champagne. I mean, we all love cake and champagne, but I really wanted to get like outside the cake box because we can't be drunk all the time or high on sugar all the time. I mean, we can, but it's not really the goal. So we wanted to talk about different ways that we can celebrate, because our small accomplishments don't necessarily have to have big grand parties with, champagne fountains and 7-tiered cakes. they can match each other. So I wanted to go through today and talk a little bit more. If you're joining me live, say hi. If you have any ideas, tell me how you celebrate. Like, feel free to chime in. So one of the first ways to celebrate without cake or champagne is to anchor. And when I talk about anchoring, some people might go, well, I don't like tchotchkes. If you missed my episodes, total tangent. So at the beginning of COVID, I did a little series, Erin's Tchotchkes, and I have to finish uploading all of them, but most of the little episodes are on my YouTube channel. And so I had guests come on and share their favorite tchotchke and tell me about their business and just what they were doing in life. It was a fun little series. But anchoring. So I think of anchoring as an object. So yes, maybe it is a tchotchke. I actually finished reading a book, kind of doing a little mini program. In that book, it was like a little workbook. There were some exercises and things like that. My therapist had actually recommended it to me. And in the book, they talked about roses. And so when I finished the little program, I bought myself a little rose. It's a little ceramic rose. Statue doesn't feel like the word, but little rose object. And I keep it on my nightstand. And so in the morning and at nights, I see it and it reminds me of that thing I accomplished. It was very inexpensive, but it brings me joy. And so maybe there's something like that. They're like, you know what? Maybe if it's a bigger thing, I worked towards this goal and I met it, and I've had my eye on this ring, pair of earrings, something like that. And you buy that and it brings you joy and it reminds you of the thing you accomplished. It doesn't have to be a big thing, it can be a little thing, but it anchors in that feeling. And every time you see that item, it's going to associate that accomplishment for you. So anchoring is a fun way to celebrate. The second one is to reflect. I feel like all of these are kind of like, because we're so focused on cake and champagne or coffee. Even that, like, I did this thing, I'm going to treat myself to a Starbucks. And I really tried to leave food out of this completely. So reflecting is actually taking time to think about what you did. I don't know if anybody else out there is like me, but even before I was a caregiver, it was like, I'd meet the goal, check the box, move on to the next goal. I didn't stop in between. And so taking some time to reflect about when you set the goal, maybe it was last week, maybe it was 5 years ago, maybe it was a year ago, and where you started and the challenges you faced, the mistakes you made, and how you overcame each little one to get to where you are now. Because it didn't happen overnight. You took a bunch of little steps, and maybe or maybe not, you celebrated the little steps, but once you reached the big goal, to reflect on it, and maybe you just reflect on it mentally. Maybe it is over a cup of coffee and you take time to really think about it. Maybe you journal it. For a long time, I did not journal, and I started more in the past year, I'd say, and I really enjoy it. I try every morning to get up. Lately, I've been trying to jot down my dreams. So that's always interesting. But taking time to reflect on your progress and how you reached your goal teaches you a lot of learning lessons, and it lets you just see how far you came. So reflecting is a lot of fun. Number 3, to indulge. And this is normally where I would put the cake and champagne, because those would be indulgences for me. But these are just things that feel, in my mind, just kind of over the top, super juicy, like, should I do this? Yeah, I really want to do this. Maybe it's a whole spa day. Maybe that feels really indulgent to you. But it doesn't have to be a big, grand, expensive thing. It's one of the things about self-care that I really like to redefine, and I will talk about that more in the next series. 2 more. I think that's part of our finale, redefining self-care. But yes, it can be the big spa day. Maybe it is the mani-pedi combo, but maybe it's taking a hike without your cell phone. And some of these, you can see how some of these can be combined. Like maybe if that's your indulgent activity, you're also reflecting while you're on that hike about how far you've come. Like with each step, each point you reach on your hike, where was I? How far did I come? And maybe, excuse me again, maybe your indulgence is staying at home, like on the couch with your coziest blanket watching Netflix. And that feels really indulgent to you. And it also gives you time to recharge after you've met these goals. And again, maybe it is a big goal that really just kind of has you wiped out. And when I do speaking engagements and things like that, I am more introverted than extroverted, and I need that recharge time. And so part of that is a form of celebration for me. I get to stop. I get to pause. So indulging. Number 4 is gathering, to gather. Because what better way can there be to celebrate than with the people who have been supporting you, who asked how you were, who, if you're a caregiver, they're the ones that checked in on you. Just, hey, what's up? How you doing today? They sent the funny meme just to brighten your day. And so gathering people, and again, yeah, it can be a party. When Jerry had it was Regina's first birthday, and we had a big party at our house. And it was all of the people that were there when he got the call for the transplant. His nurse coordinator came, a couple other people from the hospital came, co-workers, people who visited us in the hospital. It was lovely just to be with everybody. And we all gave gratitude for his donor. We all wrote notes to the donor, because there is a program set up where you can communicate with the donor family. We don't know who they are, but we can write notes to them and they get passed through a third party. And there was actually somebody at the party and her son had passed, and they chose to donate his organs. And she was so happy that we made a point to celebrate organ donors, because she hadn't heard anything from anybody who received her son's organs. And it made her feel sad. She was sad. And so she was grateful for our display of gratitude, to know that there are people out there who really, really understand both sides of the organ donation process. So gathering, and again, it doesn't have to be a giant party. Maybe it's game night. Maybe it's a game night, but something that fills your cup, and it's people that you can talk about and reflect. Again, bring in the gathering and the reflecting. Talk about the accomplishment, like, hey, I'm having this because we did this. Hey, I didn't kill my husband for a month in a row. Let's have game night because I did his pillbox right. All the things, like, hey, I bathed today. Who wants to go for a hike with me? Who wants to walk around the block? It can be big, it can be small, but celebrating. Number 5 is giving back. And when I got the idea for this one, I was like, okay, this one's kind of juicy. And I feel like way outside the cake box. So giving back to me, maybe as a way to celebrate, you want to donate your time. You want to participate with other caregivers in a group setting, in a support group. Maybe you want to go to a support group and speak and share your experience and see if there's somebody else that you can support. Maybe it is a financial donation, that there's a cause that you really feel good about and you had a successful launch, or you met a goal or got a promotion, something to celebrate, and you want to give something back. And so again, it's another way to celebrate that anchors that feeling in your heart So when you remember the path you've been on, you remember it with joy. So those are the 5 ways to celebrate outside the cake box without cake or champagne. If you would like a copy of the free PDF, then let's drop the words no cake. Drop the words no cake in the comments and I will send you a free copy of the PDF. And they're little reminders, and you can share them with people who you know might be going through a challenging time, or somebody who's just accomplished something. You're like, hey, did they pause to celebrate themselves? Because this was really a big deal. Or I know they're having a hard time, but they just keep showing up. And that's something to celebrate, showing up. So our 5 ways to celebrate without cake or champagne: 1, to anchor; 2, to reflect; 3, indulge; 4, to gather; and 5, to give back. Again, for your free copy, drop the words no cake and I'll send you a free copy of the PDF. Everybody have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you on Wednesday. Mark your calendars. It's Regina's birthday on Wednesday the 19th, and Jerry and I are doing a special edition of Ask Jerry live here on Facebook, and so you'll get to ask any questions you want about his transplant experience, my caregiving experience, and organ donation. So it'll be quick, about a half-hour event, but we'd love to see you there. Have a great weekend.